Welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me Zero here with
Shin?
Dedicate.
And Rai. Tonight we're talking about Kamen Rider Build, episode 32. So, Sento returns Pandora's box to Himuro, who appreciates what he did, but the government can't overlook his actions. He's fired. Later, Himuro tries negotiating with Masakune, who is secretly Namba. But Namba knows that Himuro isn't going to use the box as a weapon, and he's pretty confident he can just take it back at any time. I don't really have much to say about this.
Yeah, the whole plot line with Sento kind of doing treasonous for borrowing $1 is a little bit, it seems a little bit out there, but I guess it works in the context of the show. Also, Nanba has a point. Himuro is not going to be as aggressive box as everybody else, so the Prime Minister doesn't have anything to threaten Sato with.
Yeah, don't really have too much to say. The recap was great as always, though, with the ladies taking over.
Oh yeah, like I usually gloss over the recaps for this series, but a lot of the time they are gold.
yes and yes. I have nothing more to say.
Yeah. Alright, so let's talk about what Kazumi did this episode. He gets a call from Utsumi who wants to make a deal with him. And if you didn't predict that that deal would be he steals Pandora's box, you weren't paying attention. Utsumi kidnaps some of his old workers and has them held captive. He wants to trade their lives for the box. Kazumi is indecisive for a while, but ultimately decides not to go through with it. The workers understand that he's not saving them to save even more people in the grander scheme, and they willingly become martyrs. When Goku is told to go and finish them off, he instead frees them and turns on Utsumi for a little bit before Utsumi activates this trigger. Not killing Gentoku, but putting him back on his leash. The workers eventually make their way to Kazumi and reunite with him. I actually respect Kazumi here. I was worried that he was actually going to go through with the whole steal the box thing and try to trade it and just cause more problems, but he didn't. He gritted his teeth, but he made the hard decision of, it's for the better that I don't. And I do like seeing Gentoku sparing them. He told Sento before that he's not out to rule the world, he's just trying to reunite Japan. This shows it. He's not attacking these innocent people. He effectively is becoming a good guy again.
Yeah, this kind of gives me a bit more respect for Gentoku, but also more respect for Kazumi. Like, wait, if this had been the same Kazumi from before the first proxy battle, he would have gone over to save them and trade the box without any hesitation. But now he's thinking more about the state of the world and, like, the greater good, and even though it's difficult, it's the right thing to do. So you can really see in this episode how who've interacted with Sento have gotten changed thanks to his influence with Kazumi and also with Banjo as well.
Yeah, I just like how it was written in general, because you think at first it's just going to be, oh, let's focus on Kazumi, give him some more development. But then Rogue has his moment, and yeah, It's just really good. And I like that we actually brought back V Cinema character. For those of you who saw the Televi-kun V Cinema, that young guy Masugu was in it, and he was in this episode too, so that was nice.
I didn't see the V Cinema, so I didn't know who that guy was.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it either, but that's sort of just like standard tokusatsu problem of being like a Western fan. You know, if you're in Japan, probably a little easier. But whatever. It's still held together well enough without knowing that, which, you know, is better than some other writers handle stuff. As well as, like, yeah, that was really well written, where in this episode we gave, like, Cosme and Rogue development at the same time. That was pretty well done.
Alright. Sento and Banjo return to the cafe where Sam and Mizora are. And we get one of my favorite quotes from Banjo in this entire show. Protein, ramen, best match.
I'm saying that the next time I make ramen.
You gotta have a protein shake then. Alright, but Sawa shows Sento the research data that says Banjo is an alien, and then he blabs it to Banjo, like, unhesitantly. Like, okay, this show does a really good job of setting up, like, oh, it's this kind of thing, and then just not doing it. Like, I thought it was gonna be like, oh, they're gonna try and hide this from him, because they don't quite understand it yet. It's like, nah, Sento just straight up tells him, hey, Banjo, this says you're not human. And he does not take it well, which is understandable. He runs off and he goes to his girlfriend's grave and talks to her a bit. It's pretty nice. But then when Sato attacks, he ultimately has to go and fight. He runs into Stark, who tries telling him that he only exists to fight and that he'll just keep fighting until everything's destroyed. Banjo is shocked for a bit and knocked down, but he stands back up and says that he's a Kamen Rider who fights for love and peace, and he overpowers Stark, who is forced to run away. I'm glad we got this for him. Banjo has not been given the most attention this series. It's been off and on. I'm glad he's finally getting his moment to shine as a rider here.
He has that whole fight to himself, and I loved. He even makes the little hand motion when he says like "love and peace," which I really picked up on. Also, it's very satisfying to see him beat up Stark. So that was a really great scene overall. Plus, I still love Cross Sea Magma.
Yeah, that insert song is pretty hype. I know it's a fun fight, but Kazumi fighting was better. It's just fun seeing him be acrobatic and stuff instead of just a ton of special effects.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, Banjo, his fight was more like thematically better, and like the effects were pretty decent, but like Kazumi's fight I think was a little bit better because he's more acrobatic, but you know, it still didn't take away, like, his fight wasn't terrible or anything. Like, all the fights in this episode are pretty decent. Yeah, like, okay, a couple things, like, holy shit, like, Sento, like, where the fuck is Emu when you need him? Because I'm like, that's some terrible bedside manner. Like, I'm sure Hiro wouldn't have been that bad at delivering this. Like, fuck, if Emu was here, he would have kicked your ass for saying shit like that. Yeah, and Banjo, like, doesn't take it well at all. But but then like later on in the episode, he fucking like realizes, yeah, I'm a Kamen Rider. I'm like, yes, at least you realize what franchise you're in. Like, oh, I'm not human. I'm like, oh yeah, like should I list all the other ones who aren't?
Also,
But,
apparently,
yeah.
he wasn't human in Amazon Season 2, but I haven't seen Amazon's
Oh,
yet.
no, he's actually human. He's friends with like people who aren't. Let's go with that.
Minor spoilers for Amazons.
I guess. I mean, it's like the first couple episodes. Um, yeah, but he gets up and he does the speech of like, "I'm still a Kamen Rider." I'm like, yes, we're giving the speech of the franchise. I'm like, oh, that's great. I mean, like, realistically, if this was more Showa or more like, like actually noticing the tropes, he would have just been like, I don't fucking care if I'm not human. I'm still a Kamen Rider, and then delivered it with more punch. But like he didn't have that much punch to his speech, but like the essence was still the same. Like it doesn't matter. End of the day, I'm still a rider, and that was pretty nice. Like it's a good moment for him. Finally cements like, yeah, like all the riders have something that they're fighting for. And like Banjo, because we've basically built him, like this whole show's journey is basically his journey. It's good for him to get like a Kamen Rider speech out of the way. Like the standard Picard speech. Like a rider has to have one of these too. And like Banjo finally got his chance, and that was good. Especially against, Stark, who fucking deserves to get his ass kicked at this point.
Seriously, like, Stark, as he currently is done. That's 2 for 2. He's gotten his ass kicked by Banjo. He cannot hold up as he is anymore. He needs to, like, get the evil driver or whatever so he can power up.
Semi-spoilers for next episode.
I mean, whatever. Kazumi's fight was also really good. I think I just enjoy watching Grease's battles. Like, in general, out of any rider. I just enjoy it.
Yeah, I think he's got the thing from like Coast going on, where like Coast has 3 riders, and like what happens is like the first 2 keep getting power-ups, but the third guy doesn't, because like he's so much stronger when he shows up the first time.
Poor tertiary riders never get power-ups.
I mean, sometimes they do, but yeah, that's pretty true. Like, most of the bad guys never get power-ups, or like, yeah, aside from the second. But in Grease's case, I'm fine with it, because like, 1, their hazard level keeps rising, so he can keep up, and 2, his fights are so much more fun to watch it this way anyway.
Also, I like that Sento borderline did not need to be in this episode. Like, he's the main rider, so of course he's going to steal the spotlight at times. I like that we... Sorry. I like that we got this episode where he didn't. He was there, he tried to help out, but ultimately the others had it covered. They got to shine.
I mean, he had like 1 chance. He could have been useful, but like then we wouldn't have like, oh shit, Gentoku kidnapped the prime minister. Like.
Oh right, I forgot
like,
to say that. Whatever.
He had like 1 job, but then like Banjo forgot to tell him that he had to do that job, and therefore he failed.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Go on.
Whereas the rest of the episode, he's not needed. So I'm like, okay. Like, it's good that we had an episode basically without the main rider, but at the end I'm like, oh, it's kind of annoying because we had like enough people to stop this from happening.
But well. I do like that Banjo was so distracted and distraught that he didn't think to say anything. Because he had his own problems going on, and that reflected in that. He didn't have to realize, like, oh right, Gentoku, who goes in and kidnaps his father. Which... That caught me off guard, because why do they need him to make the driver? theories?
Honestly, I don't know. God. We don't know. We know Gentoku was there at the Skywall incident, and his father likely wasn't, but there's just a whole lot we don't know. My guess is that they were going to hold him hostage and threaten, like, the security of the Toto government as an incentive at the ultimate driver. But I don't think that Himuro Taizan has any special abilities or whatever that they might need.
We know that Himuro wasn't at the light, and Toku went in his place. Decade, anything?
Yeah, I have no idea where that's going, but it should be interesting. I mean, at this point, it doesn't seem like holding him hostage is very useful. I don't know. But maybe there's some reason. Maybe he has some secret information.
Okay, I mean, like, did they say they need his dad? Like, did Gintego say he needs his dad
No.
for the box?
No.
Okay, it's just he got kidnapped?
Yeah.
I think what's happening is, like, he's like, okay, listen to me and get your shit together, because otherwise Toto is fucked. And so I think he's basically... Yeah, I think he's kidnapping him, so it leaves, like, a power... Either tell him what to do, because, like, Gentoku started, you know, his path to redemption, basically, with this episode. So either he's gonna tell him what to do to, like, you know, beat Namba Industries, or he's gonna kidnap him, get him out of the way, and therefore, like Gentoku or somebody can take over and, like, become the leader of Toto and resist Sato. Like, those are the two theories I have going.
Alright. Yeah, I can see that, like, he's just kidnapping him to, like, try and actually talk to him, while not having to, like, betray the others who still have the death switch on him. I can see that. We kind of, like, went through everything that happened in the episode already, except for some just minor details. So is there anything else anyone wanted to bring up?
So after last episode 31, I was fairly convinced that the hints Stark was dropping meant that Evil might try to possess Banjo. After this week's episode, I'm not as certain. I'm thinking still, why else would want Banjo to grow so much? Either he's going to possess him, or maybe there's another way he can use Banjo to try to destroy the Earth. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that Evolt is Stark. He's possessing Soichi's body, and he's just building Banjo up to be the strongest body. He wants to combine him with the ultimate driver and become the greatest death weapon on Earth.
Another idea, like somehow get the ultimate driver on Banjo and make Banjo a weapon. Yeah, I can totally see him doing that. I mean, I know Stark is possessing Soichi, but I kind of...
Well, like...
Soichi,
yes.
like Evolt and Stark, so...
Yeah, like, the question is who Evolt is. Because, the
also want to know his relation to Bernage.
Yes, Bernage, after she mentions that Evolt destroyed Mars, she looks at Banjo and goes, "Do you not remember who you are?" Which, could suggest that he's Evolt in some way. And it's possible that he is Evolt in that, Stark on Mars, like, manipulated him and got him to destroy it. Or my theory is that Evolt is Stark. But it could go either way.
Yeah, we'll have to see, and I'm excited.
Yeah, well, from the previews, the suit at least looks pretty awesome.
Suit is a little bit over-designed to me, but it's okay.
Yeah, okay. Plot twist, the ultimate driver is the double driver?
What?
No, I'm just kidding. Because then they would be like, "Oh, is he Stark or is he Banjo?" It's like, no.
Oh,
like,
he's
Banjo.
both. I get it.
Oh my god.
Okay,
You guys were just saying
Reminds me
that.
of like a teaser for the summer movie, but I'm not gonna mention that.
Oh my god.
I wasn't entirely with you there first, but I realized where you're going with that.
Yeah, I think it's like because in the preview he says Evolved Phase 1. So either Stark either Stark isn't evolved and he's just leveling up the driver to be strong enough and Banjo strong enough, and then like Phase 2 or Phase whatever is like full evolved when he gets Banjo taken over. Or that like Stark is evolved and Banjo is evolved, but they got split somehow because, well, like Suichi and Banjo are both created from the box, right? So, like,
Well, no.
maybe it's like a situation.
Soichi is just an astronaut that got possessed.
Yeah, I know, but like something possessed him. Like, here's the thing: we don't even know if Evolved's like one person or like a Gestalt entity or something. Like, it could be.
Yeah, because
Yeah, go ahead.
something from the box possessed baby Banjo and possessed Soichi. So if evil is split among multiple things, then multiple people maybe at once.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's either that or it's gonna be like in Coast where shit, I don't remember the name. Like the like control beings from Coast who like basically it's like one AI, like the Great Eye thing, but like it has like multiple forms and it's kind of like a council of these assholes, but whatever. Point is, like, it could be like it could be one hive mind thing, it could be more than one, it could be split, it could be actually in Banjo and it's not awakened. It could be like Stark was the guy who manipulated Evolve back on Mars. Like, it's still unclear. This is the problem with Stark. Like, all we know is like, okay, Soichi's possessed. Like 32 episodes in, like nothing. That is all we know. I mean, hell, we don't even know if it's Soichi's possessed or if he just went crazy. You know, like Toku did. I mean, good.
Like, so this is where it comes down to Rider villains being in two categories. The villain that just stands back, stays in the shadows, and gives commands. So you have an air of mystery to them, and you wonder about them, but they don't like go too far, so you can't really question them. And then the villains who go out into the field, and you know a lot about them because you see the heroes interact with them. And then Stark is trying to be both, and it's not working.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that is Stark's biggest problem. Like, this episode is solid. Like, it's actually a really good one. Like, I have no complaints, but and Stark wasn't terrible in this. It's just like, okay. I mean, maybe next episode answers all our problems. And we did kind of see like Stark was possessed by something last episode. But we don't know if that thing is evolved or if it's two or whatever. So like, maybe next week answers it. Therefore, I'm not gonna like take any more time discussing this. But like, man, like I thought we got this shit figured out. Like, what is this? Season 19 since we came back, and we still have this nonsense. Like, we're mystery boxing so hard that we like go like, okay, well, this show is like 2/3 over. I wonder what the actual end goal is. You know, that's kind of annoying.
Problem with long-running shows like Kamen Rider, my worry is that after being a mystery for over 30 episodes, when the actual plan is revealed, it will either A, not make sense, B, be stupid, or C, both. I'm hoping that and that makes sense and is good, but I don't have hopes.
So holding off on your real ultimate plan until like the final arc can be done good if you have other things to keep the characters busy while you build up to that. The problem is that this show has been all about that ultimate plan, but they're not telling us what it is.
Like Stark keeps showing up. It's like, oh, I'm building the ultimate this or the ultimate that, and it's like, oh, he's almost ready or whatever. And I'm like, all right, Stark. Like, if you were just being like a backstabbing asshole, it would have been fine. You know, in the last arc, he shows up and it's like, yeah, no, I've been actually doing all this for my own plan. It'd be perfectly fine. But then, like, he's like, no, I'm building this ultimate, you know, fighter being Rider dude, and then the ultimate driver thing. And I was like, why? I mean, he's like, oh, you're just gonna be a war machine that ends the world or something. I'm like, okay, like, sure. But like, why? I mean, I guess world-ending villains don't really need a reason. It's just because we're evil. It's just, I don't know, man.
I'm fine with the idea that
problem.
Stark is like psychotic entity that just seeks destruction for amusement. I'm fine with that concept of him as a villain. The problem is that, like, he's been almost ready for the past 6 months now. And we got at least 2 more before he's actually ready.
Well, it's clear why he's had to delay his plan. He's running out of money on his Patreon and has to change the rewards tiers.
Oh my god.
Here's one war for you! It's done now? Okay, how's about another war? That one didn't even last as long? Okay, hold on a second. How's about I start building the tower now?
Oh my god, this is so ridiculously meta, it's great. Oh fuck. Okay, yeah, that is hilarious. I think the problem with Stark I'm having is, like, he's so well acted. And this show is good. It's just like, what the hell is your plan, dude? Like, stop fucking around. It's like, okay, actually, it's not the Marvel movie problem, but it's the thing that everybody says, like, oh, the villains suck. But I'm like, kinda. But, like, you're kind of so invested in the story, you don't really care until you sit back and think about it. But, like, a movie's not 50 fucking episodes long. So it doesn't go like, oh, 30 minutes, and then it stops, and then you're like, what happened? And it's like, yeah, there's this villain dude, but like, he doesn't do anything. He's charismatic.
Yeah, see,
that's the problem. That's the problem with Stark.
I don't really have problem with Marvel movie villains because I can only see them as pretty much the monster of the week. And in the end, I know that, like, they're not the entire point. The point is, like, really the whole setup and such. I don't know where I was going with that.
No, I understand. I think the reason, like, we all complain about Stark, like, every week. And, like, dude, like, people probably listening to it, like, dude, just fucking enjoy the damn show. It's like, yeah, I'm enjoying the show. I mean, like, maybe not as much as X8, but, like, X8's kind of, like, it has, like, oh, holy shit, did you see this episode? And did you see that preview for next episode? Right? So it's just got this real, like, hook just built into how the show is. Whereas, like, Build is just kind of better, like, structurally, kind of. But the problem is, like, it just goes like, oh, it's like the full story, and then it just stops, and then you're like, okay, why though? Like, why did you just let them go that episode, Stark? Like, why did you walk away? Is it because Tokusatsu Kamen Rider shows require 2 fights an episode? Is it because you're doing this power-up thing? Were you just doing for kicks? Like, what the hell's your deal? And you can say, well, he's the mastermind. I'm like, yeah, he's the mastermind without a plan, basically. You know? Like, here's the thing. He's doing the thing from Fies, except at least we gave a shit about the thing from Fies. You know, like, okay, we didn't exactly understand what the deal with, like, the chairman from Smart Brain was, but at least we're like, alright, by this point, we know what he was doing. like why he's sending out everyone to fight. Like we understood the guy, and here we know like Stark just likes to fuck shit up, and it's like, okay, that's fun. Saying that, I guess we can if we don't care where the show is going. Like the biggest problem is like, all right, maybe they're holding it up till like Nambo's done and that we have no villains, but I'm like, all right, that's like what, 5 more episodes, 10 maybe, and then we'll have the thing. But I'm like, come on, man, that's like you're showing up and being like, oh, my plan's almost ready, and then like going away and not doing shit for 10 episodes. It's fucking annoying.
So that's the problem with Stark, is that his concept is good, but they popped him too soon. They should have kept him maybe like working in the background for a little longer before finally like having him start becoming more active. Like if he had just stayed like as what we assumed was the assistant that's just helping out in supporting the bad guys, we wouldn't be saying all this stuff about him, because okay, he's just like jumping from villain to villain to see what they do. And then he pops in and is like, oh, this was actually all my plan. But because we know that he's manipulating everyone this early, we're not really getting anything out of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like the whole thing is like, okay, this is Namba Industries arc, but does anybody give a shit like about Namba Industries?
No.
Like, okay, we have to take this jerk down, but like we know, like who cares what your plan is? The writers will stop it because fucking Stark every episode goes like, oh yeah, you're doing that thing, but actually I'm just gonna backstab you. You know, like even Namba is like, yeah, I don't trust you, Stark, and Stark's like, oh, it's fine, like this is difficult, but I'll get it done. But like, you know, he's not really gonna hand it to Namba, so like this whole arc is Namba's, but like nobody gives a shit,
right?
Because like Stark is just walking around.
So if we didn't know that Stark was planning on betraying Namba, we might be a bit more invested in what was going on. Do you think?
You want to go?
Did you want to say something, Henshin?
I was just asking if Decade wanted to say something.
No, I'm fine. I'm enjoying the conversation.
I think I vented enough. Like I don't dislike Stark as a villain. I just feel like he's not making any progress, even though he is, because he just doesn't seem to be doing anything while he's supposedly doing a lot. He's like, okay, so he's sitting back and watching everything play out and then going, yeah, just as I planned. And that's it. It's like, oh, so, okay, so you expected this to happen and that's your grand scheme?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know the exact problem with this is, and it's like, okay, there's two problematic characters, and if you like mix their traits, it would fix their problems. Like, you have Stark in Build and Gremlin in Wizard, and they have problems. They have slightly different problems, but like if you mix their traits, they would fix both characters. And the thing is, like, Gremlin played it cool. Like, you knew you couldn't trust that asshole. Yeah. But like he didn't like go like, yes, okay, my plan is coming together until like really late in the show. Like, you know, he was up to no good, but like he wasn't the main villain, right? Until like later on. And then you're like, okay, he's clearly playing something, and like he's an equal amount of a threat like later on. But the thing is, like, he kept showing up, and he wasn't as fun to watch or as charismatic as, like, either Phoenix or Stark, you know? And so, like, that's Gremlin's problem, is he's not as fun to watch as Stark, where Stark is fun to watch because, like, he's acted so well and everything. But, like, he's playing his cards too early. So, like, he should have, like, stayed in the shadows a little more like Gremlin did. Like, still be, like, a scheming asshole and like a guy we like saw for a long time but didn't trust, but like not gone like, oh yes, all according to his plan, like 20 episodes before his fucking plan even starts.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas, yeah, whereas like Gremlin, like yeah, he had his own thing, but like he did it later on, like, but he wasn't as fun to watch as Stark is. So like if we could mix both of those characters, like it would fix each other's problems.
So
I would say.
yeah, so I'm glad we talked about this because now I actually understand what my problem with Stark is. Because I don't hate him as a character. He is a great character, but there's just something about his storyline here that's been bothering me. Now I get it. It's he came out too soon.
Yeah, I mean, like he could have been around, but he could have been like, oh yeah, I'm just following Namba's orders, or I'm following whatever's order. Like Utsumi, or I think that's his name. Like if Stark was Utsumi, it would make so much more sense in this show. Kind of.
I'm going to compare.
Basically, if you.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go first.
No, I was gonna say like, if he was kind of like if Stark turned out to be like Utsumi, like I mean, story-wise it wouldn't really make sense, but let's pretend he was, and like after Namba was taken down and Utsumi became like the villain, and it was Stark, it would make so much more sense. Because he was just like, oh, I'm just pretending to be this like helpful assistant asshole. Oh, you help me, I'll help you. But like realistically, like you can see he's kind of a sadistic asshole. And like if you gave him power, like he would go and do a lot of bad shit. And basically, like Stark should like how Utsumi is just kind of being an underling now. If Stark was like that, it would work. But like Stark is kind of not doing that. Like that's kind of the problem with Build. We have like too many characters, I think, kind of, because like you have the other like the Namba industry writers. They just kind of just show up, like they have no personality. They do nothing, you know.
In Goseiger, there wasn't one main villain of that series. Like there was a new one every arc because they would always just defeat the main villain, and so another one showed up. But each villain group, there was one side villain that would like work for each of them. He would just jump to the next one when they popped up, and then in the end he becomes the final villain because he's just been building up to his own plan. And he in particular wasn't a very good character, but if they had done something like that with Stark, like jumping between the 3 different powers here in Build, like it would have been a better use of his character.
Yeah, I would agree. That would have been probably the best thing to do with Stark. Like, it might be. Man, this happened so many times in Rider. Like, like an Oja or Ankh problem, where like we like this actor or this character too much, and therefore we're giving them way too much screen time, and it's kind of messing up the flow of the show. Like maybe that's happening. I'm not sure, but like it could be. So I can't hate the writing too much, but then again, I can't really let it off the hook either way. But I think we've rambled way too damn long. But like at least we got to, what Stark's problem was. Hopefully once he gets the driver next episode, or that's what it looks like he's getting, his shit actually gets revealed and we start actually moving the plot along. Yeah, that would be good. As for, I guess, final thoughts on this episode, I would say, yeah, really solid episode. Like, if it keeps, like, the only misstep was like, oh, like Bill totally let Rogue get away, but I'm like, that was for plot reasons. I would have actually just had like Bill just show up there like a little too late or something. But otherwise, solid episode. I mean, yeah, the only problem is Stark, but that's kind of a reoccurring thing. But like, as soon as Namba's done, that problem should be solved anyway. So, that shouldn't take too long.
Yeah, I did really enjoy this episode. It was really good for Kazumi. It was really good for Gentoku. It was especially really good for Banjo. Sento was there. And it's just making me sick of Stark.
Oh, I just thought of one more thing. It's such a good episode that, like, yes, the main writer, one, barely is in this episode, and two, he pretty much does nothing. The freaking female side characters saved the day, basically.
Yeah, I
Good
didn't
job,
mention
writer.
that, but I did like Himuro Tengen Toku. If Pandora's box is no longer here, cut to Sawa and Mizora flooring it away from the building. Decade Henshin, final thoughts.
This was a pretty good episode. You've articulated the problems with Stark quite well, but everyone else did really well, and I'm hoping that we actually get more plot and plot information next week.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to where Gentoku's going with this, because I have a feeling like he's actually gonna maybe listen to his dad and some sentimental shit's gonna happen. Looking forward to it.
Alright. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. Sorry if it seems like we came on really hard on this show, but we really do like it. We'll be back next Tuesday with some Lupin Ranger versus Pod Ranger. The next episode looks really good. I'm really looking forward to that. Next Wednesday for more Kamen Rider Build. Looking forward to seeing where the plot takes us with that. See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we will catch